Hey, I'm glad to have you back to Through the Prism of Chrism. I'm Kris. We're talking this week on the Lord's Prayer from a little mini book, The Model Prayer. And you can get a copy of this, as I shared yesterday, if you'll just shoot me an email, your email address here on a comment or on a message on Facebook, and I'll send you a PDF copy of this so you can study along. We're talking about eating your peas, prayer with a capital P. And today, as we look back in Matthew chapter 6, we'll see that prayer is not only personal and punctual, prayer is practical. You know, it's practical. There are 1,000 things that we could pray about every day. In fact, when you get your feet out of the bed in the morning, you realize that if you don't pray about it, you're not going to get the things done you need to get done. So what is prayer? Prayer is the shoes with which I walk through this spiritual pilgrimage. It's the staff on which I lean the weight of my Christian experience. It's the lever that lifts the load. It's the key that unlocks the treasure chest of heaven. It is the cord that links human impotence with divine omnipotence. And the only omnipotence you're going to find in this life is what is tapped into in prayer. Paul said, unto him that is able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us. And I think that resource, that power, is the power of prayer. So prayer is practical. Another thing I want you to see with the P is that prayer is persistent. Matthew 6:6, we're still on that verse. It says, thou when thou prayest. Prayest. Now notice the old English word prayest. What it means is that it is ongoing prayer, continuing prayer. Not to say thou when thou prayed, past tense, like been there, done that, don't need to do that anymore. But you need to continue in prayer. In fact, Paul said in Colossians 4:2, continue in prayer. Jesus in Luke 18:1 spoke a parable to this end that men ought always to pray and not faint. Notice that, always pray. Paul said in Ephesians 6:18, praying always with all prayer and supplication of the Spirit. By all prayer, he's talking about the different methods and modes. There's a petition, there's intercession, supplication, thanksgiving, praise, etc. But he said praying always with all prayer. Just keep at it. Keep praying. And then in 1 Thessalonians 5:17, he said, pray without ceasing, persistent prayer. I looked that up one time in the concordance, and the definition was like a dry hacking cough. In other words, pray without ceasing means that you don't cease to pray. Now, that doesn't mean that you're down on your knees all the time, but you get into a rhythm, you get into a habit. There's a constant breath and atmosphere of prayer. So he said it's like a dry hacking cough. You ever had one of those? You know, there's something stuck in there. You just can't seem to get it out. There's a tickle, there's an itch, there's an agitation. Well, prayer should be an itch. It should be something that keeps compelling you towards God. Another beautiful verse on persistence is in Acts 12:6. Peter was kept in prison. But listen, but prayer was made without ceasing of the church unto God for him. They kept praying. They kept asking, pleading, plotting. And finally, Peter got out of prison because of persistent prayer. Okay? Another P word. He said, thou when thou prayest, enter into your secret place. That's privacy with a capital P. And then he said, and pray to the Father who sees in secret. The next word would be what? Pointed prayer. We direct and target our prayers to the Father in the name of Jesus. Notice what it says. The Father who sees in secret will reward you openly. Now, that doesn't make sense to me. Shouldn't it say the Father who hears in secret? I'm talking to God. I want his ear. But instead it says the Father who sees in secret. Why? Because he's looking more than he is listening. I said he's looking. It's not the rhetoric, the vocabulary, the words, knowing how to say the right things that touches God's heart. It is your heart. He's looking more than he's listening. He wants to know about the passion, the burden, the desperation, just the feelings of your heart. That's what God looks for. And the Father who sees in secret will reward you openly. So we end with a capital P of promise. There's a promise that God is going to reward you openly. If you're enjoying this series on closet communion, I want you to get your little PDF mini copy of this book. All you got to do is send me an email on the comment line there, and we'll get that out to you. And be sure to share this with your friends, because everybody needs to know more about prayer, and God answers prayer. We'll see you tomorrow.